She danced for survival in a strip club. He ruled the city with money, power, and their worlds were never meant to touch. It was almost midnight in Lagos. The lights inside the club were red and low. Loud music played and people shouted and laughed as dancers moved on stage. Kiara was one of the dancers. She was tired, but she kept smiling. Her feet hurt in her high heels, and her heart felt heavy. She didn't want to be here, but she had no choice. Her mother was sick at home. Kiara had many bills to pay, and people were asking her for money she didn't have. In the back corner of the club, a man was watching her. His name was Darius. He wore a black suit, shiny shoes, and had a glass in his hand. He didn't smile. He didn't talk. He just stared at her like he was thinking about something serious. Darius was rich. His father had passed away not long ago. But there was a problem. If Darius didn't have a child soon, he would lose all the money his father left behind. His family's business, the big house, the cars. Everything would go to someone else. Darius didn't believe in love. He didn't want to get married, but he needed a child. He stood up and walked slowly to the stage. When Kiara came down for a break, he stopped her. "I want to talk to you," he said in a calm voice. Kiara looked at him, surprised. "Why?" "I have a deal," he said. "Come with me for 6 months. Live on my island. Have my child. I'll give you $500,000. Kiara blinked. "What?" "No love, no marriage, just a baby. Then you'll go. You'll have money. Your problems will be gone." Kiara didn't know what to say. Her hands shook a little. Her rent was due. Her mother needed medicine. She had no family to help. Her life was falling apart. "Think about it," Darius said, "but I need an answer tonight." Kiara sat in the dressing room, holding her phone. She stared at her mother's photo. Then she looked at the contract in her hand. Her heart was racing. Minutes later, she walked out of the room slowly. She had removed her heels. She wore simple clothes now, no makeup. Just Kiara. Darius was waiting by the door. She walked up to him, looked him in the eye, and nodded. "I'll do it," she said quietly. He handed her a pen. She signed the papers. A driver opened the black car door. Kiara took one last look at the club lights behind her. She didn't know if she had made the right choice, but she stepped into the car anyway. The door closed. The car drove off into the night. The next morning, Kiara woke up in a soft white bed. The room was quiet. No noise, no music, no people yelling. Just peace. She got up slowly and walked to the window. What she saw made her eyes grow wide. Water. Blue, clear water everywhere. Palm trees danced gently in the wind. Bright flowers covered the garden. Birds sang softly in the trees. She was on an island, far away from the city, far from her old life. Darius walked in, dressed in a white shirt and light pants. He looked calm, like this place belonged to him. "There are rules," he said. Kiara turned to face him. "What kind of rules?" He looked at her carefully. "No emotions, no questions, no touching, unless it's needed. We are here for one reason, to have a child. That's all." Kiara stayed quiet. Her hands were folded. Her heart felt strange, like something inside her wanted to cry, but didn't know why. "I understand," she said softly. Days passed. They ate breakfast at the same table, but never talked much. Kiara took walks in the garden. Darius read books in the library. They lived like two strangers under the same roof. But sometimes, things changed. One night, the lights went out during dinner. A small candle was lit. The fire danced between them. Their eyes met for longer than usual. Another night, Kiara sang while taking a shower. Her voice was soft, like a song from long ago. Darius stood quietly outside the bathroom, listening, not knowing why he stayed. They started talking late at night. At first, just a few words. Then full talks. About life. About their childhood. About fears they never told anyone before. Darius showed her how to play chess. She laughed when she lost. He smiled without meaning to. One evening, it rained. Not a loud storm. Just soft, gentle rain. The sky turned gray, and the garden smelled fresh. Kiara stood outside, letting the rain touch her face. She closed her eyes. Darius walked out, slowly. He didn't bring an umbrella. He didn't speak. He stopped in front of her. They looked at each other for a long time. The rain fell between them. Then, without a word, he touched her face. She didn't move away. That night, they didn't sleep in separate rooms. It wasn't fast. It wasn't cold. It was quiet, warm, slow. Two broken people, sharing something they never planned. When Kiara woke up the next morning, the rain was gone. But something had changed, not just between them, something inside her too. Kiara stood in the bathroom, holding the small white stick in her shaking hands. Her heart was beating fast. She took a deep breath, looked down, and saw the two pink lines. She was pregnant. She walked back to the room slowly, her eyes wide, her body still not believing the truth. When Darius saw her, he stood up quickly. "What is it?" he asked. She showed him the test. For the first time since they met, Darius smiled. Not a fake smile, not a cold one, but a real smile. He looked happy, truly happy. "That's good," he said, nodding. "Very good." He tried to stay calm, tried to keep his voice flat, but something in his eyes told a different story. He looked proud, almost soft. The next day, lawyers came to the island. Darius asked them to prepare everything for the baby. The papers, the rights, the money. Kiara sat alone in the garden, watching butterflies fly between flowers. She placed her hand on her belly, thinking about the little life growing inside her. She didn't want to fall in love. That was never the plan. But she had. She had fallen. In love with the man who never smiled. The man who said he didn't believe in love. And maybe, just maybe, he had fallen too. Darius started doing little things he had never done before. He brought her warm milk at night. He asked about her dreams. He looked at baby books when he thought she wasn't watching. Kiara began decorating a nursery. She painted one wall, light blue. She placed a soft elephant toy beside the bed. But Darius still kept his heart locked away. Until one night, he broke. They were sitting on the floor, playing a board game. Out of nowhere, Darius went quiet. His hands dropped. His face turned serious. "My father never hugged me," he said. "He never told me I did well. He only spoke when I made a mistake." Kiara watched him silently. "I don't know how to love," he whispered. "I don't even know what it means. I was never shown." Kiara reached out, her hand soft on his arm. "Then let me teach you," she said gently. He didn't speak, but he leaned his forehead against hers and closed his eyes. That night, they didn't talk much. They just sat together, feeling close. For the first time in years, Darius didn't feel empty, and Kiara didn't feel alone. They weren't perfect. They didn't have all the answers, but they had something small and growing between them, like a light in the dark. And that was enough for now. The private jet landed quietly in Lagos. The city lights sparkled below like tiny stars. Kiara looked out the window with a nervous heart. She hadn't been back since the night she left the club. Everything was different now. Beside her, Darius sat quietly, reading over some documents. He looked calm, but she could feel something, heavy in the air, like a storm waiting to happen. They were back for one reason. The board meeting. Darius needed to show his family he had a child on the way. It was the final step to fully claim his father's company. When they arrived at his parents' mansion, the gates opened slowly. Guards stood straight. A line of servants waited at the door. Everything looked rich, cold and silent. Darius' mother was the first to step out. Her dress was neat, her hair perfect, her eyes sharp. "So this is the girl," she said, looking Kiara up and down. Darius placed his hand gently on Kiara's back. "Her name is Kiara." His mother didn't smile. "You could have had a princess. Instead, you brought home a club girl." Kiara's cheeks burned. She looked down, staying quiet. Inside the grand dining room, things didn't get better. His uncle asked how much Darius had paid her. His cousin whispered, "She's only here for the money." Every word felt like a stone thrown at her heart. Darius said nothing. His face was tight. But he never let go of Kiara's hand. After dinner, the family lawyer pulled Darius aside. "You need to be careful," he warned. "The board isn't happy. They think she's a gold digger. If you don't drop her soon, they might block your inheritance." Darius's jaw tightened. "She's carrying my child. That won't matter to them. Not if they think she's using you." Kiara walked in just as the lawyer left. She had heard everything. She didn't cry. She didn't shout. She just stood there quietly, holding her belly with one hand and a folded note in the other. "I came for money," she said softly. "That's true, but I stayed for something else." Darius looked at her, confused. "I stayed for love," she whispered, "but I won't let you lose everything because of me." She gave him the note. Then she walked out of the mansion, her head high and her steps steady. Darius stood there, frozen. He opened the note slowly. It read, "You changed me. I hope I changed you too. But now I have to go." The next morning, Darius sat in the boardroom, dressed in a gray suit. His face looked tired, but his eyes were clear. One of the directors spoke. "Mr. Darius, we are ready to transfer the company to you. But there is one condition." Darius didn't blink. "What is it?" "You must end things with the girl. The company cannot afford a scandal." Darius looked down at the contract. Everything he had ever wanted was written on that paper. The power, the money, the empire. But Kiara wasn't there. His child wasn't there. He stood up slowly. Without a word, he tore the contract in half. Gasps filled the room. "If love costs me billions," he said, "then maybe it's finally worth something." He dropped the torn paper on the table, turned around and walked out of the room. Alone, but free. Darius left the building with slow, heavy steps. The sky above Lagos was dark, filled with clouds. He didn't care about the rain. He didn't care about the company. The only thing that mattered was gone. Kiara. He didn't know where she had gone. He searched everywhere. Her old apartment, the club, even the shelter she once spoke about. No one had seen her. Days passed, then weeks. Darius's name appeared in the news. Billionaire heir walks away from fortune. Some called him a fool, others called him brave. But Darius didn't read any of it. He spent most of his time alone, thinking about her, about their baby, and the life they almost had. Then one afternoon, he got a call. "Sir, there's someone you need to see. She's at the hospital, maternity wing." His heart stopped. He didn't ask questions. He ran out the door. At the hospital, nurses pointed him to a quiet room at the end of the hall. His hands shook as he turned the knob. There she was. Kiara lay in bed, her hair tied back, her eyes tired but shining. In her arms, a small baby wrapped in a white blanket slept peacefully. Darius froze. She looked up, surprised, her lips parting. "Darius." He walked in slowly, unable to speak. His eyes filled with tears as he looked at the baby. "Is he—" She nodded. "He's yours." Darius sat down beside her, gently touching the baby's tiny hand. It closed around his finger. "I missed everything," he whispered. Kiara's eyes softened. "You came back. That's what matters. I gave it all up," he said quietly. "The company, the money, I walked away." "I know," she replied. "I saw it on the news." "I wanted to come sooner," he said, voice breaking. "But I didn't know where you went. I was scared you were gone for good." She looked at him, tears in her eyes. "Why did you come?" He looked into her eyes. "Because I love you, and I love him. Nothing else matters." She smiled softly, the kind of smile that only comes after pain. "I never wanted your money, Darius. I just wanted to be seen, to be treated like a person. Not a deal, not a shame." Darius leaned forward, pressing his forehead gently against hers. "I see you now. I promise I do." He held the baby in his arms for the first time. The tiny body fit perfectly in his hands. The baby moved slightly, then rested again. Darius kissed his forehead and whispered, "He's my heir, and you're my empire." Kiara placed her hand on his. "What now?" "We start fresh," he said. "No rules, no contracts, just us." Kiara nodded, her heart finally letting go of the fear. She had never planned to fall in love, and he had never planned to find a family. But life, it seemed, had a plan bigger than both of them. A few weeks later, they stood barefoot on the soft sands of the same island beach where their story began. The ocean whispered behind them, the waves catching golden sunlight as it kissed the shore. It was simple, just a few close friends, soft music, and the sea breeze carrying their laughter. Darius wore a plain white shirt, his feet half buried in the warm sand. Kiara wore a flowing soft yellow dress that danced with the wind. Their baby giggled in the arms of a nurse nearby, glowing in the light. They exchanged simple vows. Nothing grand, just truth. "I don't need riches," Kiara whispered. "Just love." "And I don't need power," Darius replied. "Just you." They kissed at the water's edge as the sun dipped low and waves brushed their toes. The world had taken much from them, but in the end, it gave them something greater. Each other, and their world, their child. My besties, if this story touched your heart even a little, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I'll be back soon with another deep, emotional tale that reminds us all, love is always worth the risk. Until next time, stay kind, stay hopeful, and never stop believing in second chances.